hello. Welcome to Let Me Bore You to Sleep. I forgot what I was doing. jasonnewland.com is my website, and my name is Jason Newland. Ooh. So I'm a day late on all my recordings this week. So I'm doing today Thursday's, I don't know, what's it called? Thursday Throwbacks, where I'm focusing on television, UK television 1985. So that's what I'm doing. I didn't do one last week because I don't know why. I don't know why. Just had other things going on. I can't remember. It's a week ago. But today's Friday, but I'm doing Thursday, and then tomorrow morning I'll do the Q&A Friday. Really, Vinny? Can you make a bit more noise, please? Oh, he just stopped. So, yeah, let's have a look. This is me on camera. I'm filming myself today. I'm also on TikTok as well, live. So I will just... Did I say only listen when you can safely close your eyes? I don't know if I did or not. I think I did. Yeah. So I've made a few recordings this week. I don't know how many I've done. What have I done? Let's have a look. Oh, Apple Podcast are playing up again. Tonya sent me a message saying that they're not necessarily refreshing, and I don't know what to do about it. I don't know anymore. It's Apple Podcasts are just, I don't know what the problem's going on with them. So the 1st of December, so Monday, I did Monday's Boring Objects. Tuesday, I did a calm, confusing, comforting drift, relaxation, hypnosis recording. Also did Trivia Tuesday, Peaceful Places. Wednesday, I did Whisper Wednesday, which is number 1503, Let Me Bore You to Sleep. And today I'm doing this. From the looks of it, on Sunday I did my 1500th episode, and I think I did that live on here as well. I think. Or I might not have done. And then... okay. And then I did... yeah, on Saturday, A Quiet Place Inside, relaxation hypnosis session. And then Friday, Q&A Friday. So I've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and it'll be 8 with the Q&A Friday that I do. So I've done 8 recordings. I will have done 8 recordings this week. So, what I'm going to talk about is UK television programmes from 1985. So, I've covered 80, 81, 82, 83, 84. So I've done 5 of these. I can't believe it. 5? Really? I've really done 5 weeks. This is a 6th one. It would be the 7th if I did one like last week. So what I get while I'm on TikTok live, people post requests asking me to do weird things and to say weird things and to do weird dances, and yeah, they clearly don't know me, do they? The only time I do a weird dance is when I actually dance. Well, it's not on purpose. Thursday. TV shows 1983. That was the 13th of November. TV shows 1983. And then TV shows 1984. That was the 20th of November. Wow. So yeah, 1985. It is. So, hello to anyone that has joined me on the live stream on TikTok. So 1985, I'll just tell you about today. It's been a weird day. Not in a bad way. Not bad, but in a strange one, because for some reason, and I don't know why, I did housework. I'm not proud of myself. I'm not showing off. You know, I don't feel the need to write a poem about it. Or a short story. I haven't phoned up all my friends and family to have a celebration. I've not thrown some kind of party. It's not really the thing that I enjoy doing, generally. And I needed to clean the floor in the bathroom and in the kitchen. Just needed to mop the floor. And the mop had retired. I left it in some dirty water, like last time I used it. And it had pretty much just given up. It was gone. So I managed to bring it back to life. And yeah, I mopped the bathroom floor and the kitchen floor. And although that might not seem like a huge deal, but for me, bearing in mind I struggle to do stuff like that, I'm quite pleased that I did it. So I did. What did I do? It all started when I had to have the gas. What do you call it? Not the gas meter, the gas thing. Had to be checked. Had to be, they had to check it. The gas. Why is the word gone out of my head? I know it's not meter. Appliance. Whatever you want to call it. Anyway, it had to be like once a year it gets checked to make sure it's working okay. And I knew that they were coming, and I think they came on the 3rd, which was Tuesday, I do believe, because it's now the 5th. Yeah, Tuesday, Wednesday. Wednesday. Maybe it was the 2nd. The 2nd. I don't know. I think it was the 2nd. So I had to be in. I waited in from 8 o'clock till 12 o'clock. Couldn't take Vinny anywhere, couldn't do anything. And then they turned up about 12:15. It didn't take long, but what I did have to do before they came along is make the kitchen look presentable. A gas heater, storage heater, what's it called? Whatever it is. And so I needed to clear everything off of the sink, which I haven't done for a long time. there's stuff on there that I think has been there longer than I've been alive. And it kind of forced me to have a tidy up, to sweep the area, just make the place look like normal. And I just thought, I got to do this. But once I started, and I kind of thought, I quite like it being clearer. I quite like it. You know what I mean? Kind of feels nice where I'm not tripping on stuff. And I thought to myself, maybe, just maybe, I could do some more tidying up. Maybe continue with the whole project. And that's what I did. So I cleaned the floor, cleaned the side, cleaned out the cupboards, and then I did sweep and vacuumed in here, vacuumed in the bedroom, vacuumed in the hallway. Got rid of some cobwebs. And you know what really bugged me the other day? I might have mentioned this, I'm not sure. Now, I was looking in the mirror. I don't like to look in the mirror, but sometimes, you know, gotta make sure I haven't got like big massive bogies sticking out or whatever. And I thought I saw something there, like in the, just basically below my lower lip on the left hand side. And I thought, oh, what is that? Is it a spot? And I looked at it closely and I realised it's a clump of dark hairs. It's just how my hair used to be, the colour my hair used to be. And that stands out now because I'm so grey. I've never been so angry. Ever. So just like just let you know that those that are listening for the first time, this is a podcast that I've been running for 8 years nearly, called Let Me Bore You to Sleep. Of course, if you're listening live, then this is not a sleep podcast. This is just me rambling on. But if you're listening on the podcast or you're watching on YouTube later on, then people listen pretty much kind of to go to sleep, because apparently I'm boring. I don't think I am, but other people, everybody else do. So how it all started, there's two reasons. First of all, the first time I ever had counselling was in 1997, and I was talking. It was a Saturday morning, I think, or Saturday morning, and it was a student counsellor, and basically I was telling her about she asked me a question, I'm telling her about my life, and she starts to close her eyes, but she's blinking, but her eyes are closing and staying closed for longer, then they're opening, and like that. And then eventually, her eyes close. And this is before I'd ever even picked up a hypnosis book, before I even really knew, outside of Paul McKenna on TV, stage hypnosis, stuff like that. I didn't know about hypnosis. I didn't know about the hypnotic language patterns and stuff like that. Anyway, she fell asleep, but she didn't. it wasn't. Yeah, she did. Basically, she had her eyes closed for about, I don't know, 2-3 minutes. So I just start talking about absolute rubbish, like I do. And then suddenly she's like, oh yeah, so carry on. What were you saying? What was it? And I said, oh. And as soon as she opened her eyes, I started talking about UFOs and spaceships and how there's a lawnmower downstairs that I travelled to the counselling with on one of those automatic lawnmowers, and how I've got a fetish for shaving my own back. And she just looked at me like, and she didn't make that sound. But she looked at me like, really, what on earth are you talking about? And I said, you fell asleep. She said, no, I never. I said, you did, you fell asleep. I didn't fall asleep, she said. She didn't say, I didn't fall asleep, she said, but she said, I didn't fall asleep. If she'd have said, I didn't fall asleep, she said, that would have been very weird. It's almost commentating on herself as she's talking. That would be very strange. Anyway, and I said, you did fall asleep. You closed your eyes and you went bye-byes. And she said to me, how old are you? I said, I'm 26. She said, no one at 26 years old uses the term bye-byes. That's something that like a 4-year-old would say. I said, I'll be honest with you, I don't appreciate the judgment. I didn't come here to be judged. And she did the old line, oh, where do you normally go? I think she forgot where she was and what her role was. I think the fact that she fell asleep and I kind of pulled her up on it took her out of her counselling mode in her head. And she kind of got a little bit aggy with me, and we brought this issue. You know, I don't think I went back, to be honest, because it didn't seem like it was working. But it got me thinking. I hope it got her thinking as well, because if she continued to train and everything, it's not good if she's going to fall asleep with her clients. I mean, I might not. I actually became a counsellor myself later on in life. For all my faults, I don't think I ever fell asleep during a session. In fact, I'm guaranteed I didn't. So occasionally I'm going to go like that. I'm going to wave to the screen. That's me just saying thank you for your comments, instead of actually saying, you know, but. So thank you, those that are commenting. I appreciate it. And anyone that's liking the live stream on TikTok. So, why was I talking about that counsel? Oh, yeah. And then, because I realised then that by talking, could you make a bit more noise? Bless him. I had to I got some groceries today from Uber, and they deliver it, but I got it from Sainsbury's. And I didn't get him any treats. He's kind of making do with old bones that he's got. He's got a little graveyard underneath the desk, and he's making do with them. But I don't think he's happy with me, because every time I get deliveries in those brown bags, he knows there's treats. And I thought I'd order some. I was kind of back and throw whether or not to order any or not, because I got some chicken, so I thought I'd just give him some chicken. You know what I mean? And he does eat it raw or cooked. He doesn't care either way, but I think he preferred to be cooked. But I didn't want to just... I haven't been bothered to do it yet. I'll give him the sausage later. And he's got his dinner. He hasn't eaten it yet. You know, he woke me up at 1:30 this morning. 1:30 in the morning. And I ended up getting out of bed because he would not leave me alone. He woke me up first of all at 11. I went to bed about 10. Maybe a little bit earlier. Maybe it was 9, 10. He woke me up about 11. Then he woke me up again about an hour later. Then he woke me up again at 1:30. This time I was awake. I was like, okay. I still went back to bed, thought, you know, I'll go back to bed till 4 or 5. I should be, hopefully leave me alone. Normally does. But no, he was jumping on me. He wanted to play, basically. Wanted to play games. So I played with him a little bit, you know, because I'd like pretend my hand's a spider and I grab him and stuff. He likes that. And eventually I just get up. I'm thinking, this is ridiculous. He's not going back to bed. I get up, he follows me around. Normally he doesn't wake up at that time in the morning. He wakes up, he generally gets 11 hours. If we go to bed at 10, he'll get up about 9. But not today. And I don't know why. So I got up, and around 2 o'clock I had my breakfast, which is very early. I normally have my breakfast about 6. So it's a lot earlier than normal. And then I sit on a settee, watch a bit of TV, then I start to get tired, and I listen to some music, and I fall asleep. And he falls asleep next to me. And I'm thinking, and it's hurt my back a little bit, because I've got a little bit of a back issue, which means sleeping on my bed is probably a little bit better than me sleeping sitting up. And I don't know why. I don't know what was going on with him. I mean, it was a full moon last night, so maybe that's what it was. Perhaps I was turning into a werewolf and he was trying to wake me up. Like, Daddy, please, you're becoming even hairier than normal. So maybe that's what it was. Oh, Dada. It made me worried. So I got up. I mean, I literally feel like I've been awake for a long time, which technically I have. But I've just felt tired all day because I didn't get proper sleep. I did get some sleep, you know, throughout the day, but not proper sleep, you know, sleep. And then I wait. When it was time to take him out, it's raining outside. I don't want to go out. Was it raining? No, I'm not sure if it was raining, but it was cold. It was raining yesterday, but it was cold outside. Really cold. Like, proper cold. And I took him out about 7:30 in the morning, which is a lot earlier than I normally take him. He's normally out around just after 9 in the morning. So I take him out, and it's icy. It's icy, really cold, and you I like feel it in my lungs, like, ooh, that's chilly. And I'm thinking he'll just do a quick wee, hopefully we'll do a poo, and then we'll come home. No, he did those things, and then he wanted to explore the park. He wanted to be out in that temperature. Why? I don't know. Yeah. But today I've had all the windows open. Even though it's cold, I've been spraying that stuff like to clean the tops and that, so I needed to have the window open and cleaning the floors and stuff, so that the floors were dry. So I've had the old air flowing through, and it's been a bit chilly, a little bit chilly. Oh yeah, and then I noticed that when I was talking to people, this is back in 1997, I noticed that sometimes people's eyes would start to glaze over, and like their eyelids would like just dip down a little bit, and they kind of almost have to sort of force themselves to sort of wake up or to be alert. And I thought, that's interesting. Again, still hadn't delved into hypnosis at all at this point. But I started thinking, I wonder what that's about. I mean, maybe it's been going on my whole life. I just didn't notice that people were bored, or that I was, I don't know. Maybe I just wasn't aware of it. And then I started learning hypnosis in '98. And then 2006, I started doing podcasts and videos. So it's nearly 20 years of doing that. But in 2018, someone sent me a message, or it might have been 2017, but it was like around that time. Someone sent me a message on YouTube, and it was, all I'd done is posted a Jason Chats video, which was kind of one of my vlog videos that I used to do, where I just talk, like this really. And this person said, whenever I listen to you talk, I just fall asleep. And I thought, but it's not supposed to make you fall asleep. This is interesting. My life is interesting. Me, is an interesting person. And after some soul searching and 8 years of making these podcast recordings that let me bore you to sleep, I realised that, I really am that boring. And there's going to be some people out there listening or watching thinking, like with some kind of negativity in their heart, you're boring, mate. Isn't it weird that I'm making these to help people, and there's still going to be someone like, you're boring, to be like, what would you get out of that? What possibly? I'm also, I'm kind of heckling myself, aren't I, there, really? I mean, no one's actually posted that, although I have had some weird posts over the years. Not lately, thankfully, because I don't get many views on my YouTube channel. Although when I post a video, I get more views than when it's just a podcast uploaded. I don't know why. So, other than that, I was thinking about taking Vinny to the pet shop to get him a treeeeeeeeeeeeeet. But I didn't get that far. I just couldn't face crossing the road, really. It was so icy and damp and stuff, Plus, when we was out, we were just out in time to avoid the school rush. So I try to avoid it so I don't see anyone, so I don't have to be around anyone. And because if I'm walking in the park with him, I'm the one that always has to get on the grass and get my feet wet. You could argue, well, try wearing shoes. Thanks. But if there's no one else around, I can walk on the pavement or the paving of the park and not have to get soaking wet. It's not just my shoes, it's my socks, it's the bottoms of my trousers. Because the grass, they let the grass grow really long. It's lovely. Yes. It was my friend's birthday on the 1st of December. My friend Noel. So happy birthday to you. I did speak to him on the 1st of December. On his birthday. I'm trying to think anything else that's going on, really. Just as an introduction. No, I think that is it. There ain't much left going on. So I'll move on to the UK television series 1985. So according to this, I'm using ChatGPT. According to this, 1985 was a landmark year, but it says that every single time, doesn't it? Every single year, 1982 was a landmark year. BBC launched one of the biggest soaps in TV history. Do 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 do, ba 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 ba. So yeah, EastEnders. I forgot what it was. Yeah, EastEnders. It's really weird because I don't remember EastEnders being launched, but I know I watched it. But when it was launched, I was doing karate on a Tuesday and a Thursday night, which means I couldn't watch it because it was on a Tuesday, Thursday night at 7:30. I remember that because they kept the same time, the same days for a long time. And then they expanded it to Monday night, Friday night. I think at one point it was on 5 nights a week. But they used to have on BBC Two an omnibus edition on a Sunday. So what I would do is watch the Tuesday, Thursday shows on a Sunday to catch up with what's gone on. I don't know what time of the year it was because during the summer or when the schools were closed, karate didn't happen. During the summer holidays, bank holidays, the half term, whatever. So there were times when I could watch it in the evening. So I do remember watching. I watched the very first episode, and I was an avid EastEnders fan for decades. I still watch it, but I'm a little bit behind, and it's still as miserable as ever. I don't know why they just don't get some funny people into it. I mean, it's the biggest show on BBC. I'm pretty sure BBC's biggest TV show in this country anyway. I'm sure there's other shows like Downton Abbey that are much bigger kind of around the world and that, but which makes you wonder why they actually need money from us. They might be making billions from selling the programmes. Billions? Millions. Lots and lots of millions. So what was weird, this might interest you, there was a female comedian that used to write for EastEnders. And she was actually a female stand-up comedian. And this was in the 2000s, I think. I just remembered her name because I remember her from the 90s. And I do wonder why I can't get more comedians just to add some comedy to it, because life, however hard it is also funny. Even during the drama, there's someone might say something funny, or inappropriate. Life isn't just serious all the time. There are funny bits. Even in the most dire circumstances, there are some funny bits. They might not seem funny at the time, and it might not be funny for everybody, but somebody's going to find it funny. So yeah, EastEnders, I don't quite know why they've not done that. Just get some I don't know, some young comedians in. Just add a few jokes here and there. Don't have to get like a funny person necessarily, but just add a few funny lines in the script. Like Coronation Street, they've got it done perfect. They're funny. It's dramatic, it's horrible sometimes, it's serious, but it's actually really funny sometimes. I've seen episodes of Coronation Street that are as good as a sitcom in the past, but they'll go between that and like something really horrible happening. So it's a bit difficult for me personally to follow, to go from laughing to like, ugh. But Coronation Street, as far as soaps go, are the winner in this country. It's not, I don't watch it, but they're still the winner when it comes to, I have watched it lots of times, but from a writing lightheartedness, Coronation Street win. Brookside was proper, had its funny moments, but it was really grim. EastEnders, it started off, the very first episode, they find a neighbour slouched in a chair, unresponsive. That was the very first episode. I had to knock someone's door in just to get inside to call an ambulance. It's like, okay, I didn't realise, and I don't think anyone watching the show in 1985 realised that was how it was going to continue. More of the same. Just and more It's amazing. I mean, I see a couple of actors from EastEnders when they're on game shows. You know, like they're just a normal person. And it's amazing how different they are. Like, what's his name? The Chip Shop Man. So him, who's been in it since he was a kid, he's so different off the show. Like, he's a different personality altogether. But then he couldn't be the same character, could he? So, I got the window open and it's proper windy now. It wasn't windy earlier. And I'm thankful that it wasn't, because if it had been, it would have been spicily cold. So EastEnders launched 19th of February 1985. Instantly huge. I mean, at the time, we had, I don't know if Coronation Street was on ITV. Brookside was on Channel 4. Emmerdale Farm was on ITV. I don't think Crossroads is on anymore, but I might be wrong. And then in a way, programs like The Bill and I think The Bill was on, but there's some of those programs were kind of like soaps, like London's Burning, but that might have been later 80s. So yeah, EastEnders. Howard's Way. I used to watch that. And it was just, I think I mentioned it the other day. They did a pilot of it. And it was all a bunch of rich people with dramas, but they were on yachts. And it used to be on a Sunday night. And I used to watch it because I used to watch everything. Anything that was on TV, I would watch. Happy Families. BBC Two, Ben Elton and Ronald Allen comedy. Don't remember that. Genuinely don't remember that. And you got Open Air, BBC One, viewer phone-in TV show. Now, I probably watched it, but I don't remember that one either. Blot on the Landscape. So, Blot on the Landscape, I'm sure it's done by the same person who wrote Wilt. And I think it had David Jason in it, I think. Yeah. And then we've got Edge of Darkness, nuclear conspiracy thriller, acclaimed. I don't remember that either. That was on BBC Two. I'll be honest, I'm not sure how often BBC Two was allowed on in my house when I was a kid. We were more family entertainment, I think. And I don't know a conspiracy about nuclear bombs. I don't know how family entertainment that is, if I'm honest. The Beiderbecke Affair. We wouldn't have watched that. Why would you watch something you can't even pronounce? Never mind spell. Hello, hello. First full series, 1985. Okay, the pilot was 1982. Why did they wait 3 years? I think it was a stage show. I think that's what it was. It was a stage show that was so popular they decided to turn it into a TV show. And it was about the Germans during the war and stuff. I personally didn't really... I used to watch it, but I wasn't really into it. Now, out of all the new shows, the next one is one of my favourite of all time, like ever. And it's a show called Dear John. And it's basically, that was written by John Sullivan, John Sullivan, he did the Only Fools and Horses, I do believe. November 1985, so I watched that. There was only one series because unfortunately John Altman, who played Dear John, who played John, passed away, so they couldn't do another series. I think there was only one series, but I loved it. And part of the reason I loved it is, well, it was just funny. It was just really funny. And I think it would have gone on to be a national hit. I think it would have been gone on to be a bit like Only Fools and Horses. Maybe not as big, maybe not as popular, but I think it would have gone on to be a really big show in this country had they been able to continue. It was so good. And all it was basically, and they did do an American version. I think they also called it Dear John. And they didn't have the same actor. Well, obviously. So he plays a man called John. Comes home, there's a letter from his wife, Dear John now. Sort of, I've left, whatever. So he's basically just picking up his life. I think he's a teacher, and he starts going to I think it's singles club. And it's really about the singles club. It's about the characters in the single club. And it's just funny. It's silly, it's funny. I loved it. And there were certain parts of it that had me absolutely really laughing. And yeah, I loved it. And I still do. Not because it's funny and not just, I just love it because it has something, you know. It has there's a memory. It's kind of what could have been, in a way, you know. Like it could have been something much bigger, but it came at a weird time, and yeah, I just loved that show. And the woman, there was, I think she was in charge of was she in charge of the singles group? And she'd say stuff like, were there any sexual problems? And she just did it, and they did the same thing in America as well. I think they might have had the same woman do it. I don't know, but it was funny because it was. Plus, what was I? I was 15 years old, so just saying those words made me laugh. But it's a really good show. I did like it. And that was one of those like midweek shows, like on a Tuesday or Monday or something. So what else have we got? Saturday Superstore. BBC One reaching its peak era in 1985. Saturday Superstore. Ah, okay. So it reached its peak, but it wasn't a UK debut. It was already there. And that was just like Saturday morning, because for those that haven't listened to these recordings before, and if they're not from the UK, in the past we used to have children's programmes on a Saturday morning on both channels, ITV and BBC One. And now apparently children like to watch cookery shows. So there's now 2 different cookery shows, one on BBC One, one on ITV. And yeah, so children are different now. I used to like watching cartoons and seeing wacky things and people being gunged and flan flinging, whatever, and all kinds of wacky, funny stuff like that. But kids nowadays, they like to watch omelettes and roasts being cooked, so sautéing, things like that. So things change. What else have we got? So that was BBC, right? ITV, Dempsey and Makepeace, 1985. I liked Dempsey and Makepeace because they didn't get on, did they? But then they did. They didn't, but they did, but they didn't, but they did. So that used to be on a Saturday night, I do believe. Tucker's Luck. I do have a story about this. Tucker's Luck. So Tucker was a main character in Grange Hill in the early 80s. Or late 70s, early 80s. And when he left school, when he left Grange Hill, he then got his own TV show called Tucker's Luck, which used to be on a Tuesday or a Wednesday around 6 o'clock on BBC. I thought it, how weird. This is BBC One, EastEnders, ITV. I thought that Grange Hill was on BBC. So Grange Hill was on ITV, was it? Oh, didn't realise. Well, my story is this. In the last year of school, which 1985/86 was, so I left in April 86. So I started the last year, September 85. So during that period, we had certain days off. Sometimes I think the teachers were on strike or industrial action, they call it, don't they? And then maybe I had a study, even though I wasn't actually going for any of the proper exams, I still have half a day off or whatever. So me and 2 friends ended up round his house, one of my friend's house, and decided to drink a lot of alcohol, which wasn't a good idea. So I got very drunk. For some reason, they thought it'd be funny to wrap me in his mum and dad's bed in a duvet. And that wasn't a good idea because I basically redecorated the room. And they still didn't give me a hard time. Seriously, they were lovely to me. Even after that, years afterwards, they were still helping me. So I don't know why they liked me. But unless they just didn't know about it. But they would have known because he would have told them. And I left at about 4 o'clock. And I'm riding, I don't know if I'm riding my bike or I'm just walking around, but I go to the paper shop and collect my paper round. Like, collect the papers. And I deliver the papers. And then I come home. And then I go upstairs. And I lay down. And then I get up. And I go downstairs and what's for dinner? Well, first of all, there was a viewing of Tucker's Luck. So it's probably about 6:30. And I don't know why I thought it was on BBC Two. Yeah. And a hard-boiled egg. Maybe 2 hard-boiled eggs with soldiers, you know, toast. Eggs. That was not what I wanted to eat. And I tried to eat one. And I couldn't. And I had to leave the table. But I wanted to watch Tucker's Luck. Then, and I couldn't say, oh, by the way, parents, I just got a hangover. I was still drunk, actually, probably. Yeah, to be fair, I was still drunk. So, yeah, and I suppose you got any food that will drain up the alcohol, please? No. So, and my friend came round about a couple of hours later, 7 o'clock or whatever. Yeah, maybe 7:30, laughing at me. I think they both came round laughing like, oh. Because they didn't get drunk. I don't know why I got drunk, but they didn't. I think maybe they were pretending to drink just to see what I did. So I wake up the next day, hangover, and it put me off whiskey forever. You know, even today I can't drink whiskey, and that was when I was 15. 40 years ago. So I can't drink whiskey. Just the smell of it. Just, yeah, don't like it. And that's probably the one thing that would bring me and my dad closer together if I could sit there and drink whiskey with him or scotch. And I have done on 2 occasions and felt ill doing it, but just wanted to talk to him. You know, got a chance to talk, and I'd be drinking, and it was hard because it's horrible. It's not my thing. And I get to school, and we're all joking and laughing about it, and they're telling other people, and it's all fun. And then after school, I go to the shop to collect my papers for my paper round, and the owner of the shop pulls me into the office. He said, "What did you do with yesterday's papers?" I said, "What do you mean?" He said, what did you do with yesterday's papers? I said, "No, I understood the question, but I don't know what do you mean, what did I do with them? You saw me, I took them, and I delivered them." He said, "According to 16 of your of the houses you're supposed to deliver to, 16 people phoned him up. I don't know why the rest didn't phone up, because there must have been about 40 houses, but I said I delivered them. I promise I did. And he said, that's being docked out of your wages. Which actually meant it was more than my wages, because each paper, so you think if there was those amount of papers that didn't get delivered, probably was more than I was getting paid in a week, I imagine. Because I was probably getting paid like £6 a week, something silly like that, £5 a week, I don't know. So I genuinely don't know what I did with the papers. I must have just been randomly putting them through people's doors. So some people were not happy, some people were very happy, I guess. I mean, maybe I created some new customers. It's possible. You never know. So, what else have we got? Tucker's like Robin of Sherwood, the Hooded Man. There's been so many Robin Hood TV shows that I can't even remember which one's which. Now, I'm pretty certain I used to watch the one in the 80s. And yeah, sure he had blonde hair. But there's been so many different versions of movies as well. So I can't remember. Map and Lucia. I don't know what that is. Me and My Girl. Ooh, ITV sitcom launched late 84 but became big in 85. So Me and My Girl was a UK version of Who's the Boss? The American sitcom with... what's his name? From Taxi. So it was exactly the same scenario, basically. No, is it? Wait a minute. What's it called? Me and My Girl. Me and My Girl. Me and My Girl. I think it is, anyway. I'm just trying to think. Yeah, I think... I'm just getting confused because there was another sitcom called That's My Boy with Prunella Scales or something. This next one, Shine on Harvey Moon. It was grim. Based during the war. I mean, it might well have been in black and white. It was that grim and dull and grimy, just the whole thing. But I was intrigued. I enjoyed watching it. I liked it. And I remember the theme tune, like shine on Harvey Moon, la 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 la, something like that. It was an ITV revival. Oh, so something that's been on before. Fair enough. Number 73, children's variety entertainment show, peak popularity 85. I don't remember that either. Oh, this next one I remember. The Max Headroom Show. Anyone recall that one? Debuted 85, defining Channel 4 cyberpunk TV. It was basically like a computer face that was like, oh yeah, just, and okay, it wasn't a very good impression, but it used to be on. It was good. Treasure Hunt. See, Treasure Hunt, that was basically watching what's her name running around and getting into helicopters and then getting down and running around and stuff like that. hello to anyone that's watching. So, if you're watching on YouTube, my voice is going. I better have a drink. Ooh. The Tube, still massive in 85. Right, the Channel 4 Daily, preparations begin. Preparations begin? Oh, it's launched 1989. So why are they preparing preparations in 1985? That don't make sense. Tallulah, hi, and Lewis, and Invite, and M. So, Channel Comic Strip Presents. I remember that. It was kind of a lot of them were the new comedians from the early 80s. Aid Edmondson, Rick Mao, Dawn French, Jennifer Saunders rather. All those kind of like group of comedians, comedy actors were kind of getting together to do this. And I do believe Ben Elton was possibly involved. Brookside. Wow, yeah. I mean, there were some pretty amazing stories in Brookside. I still think it's one of the most dramatic TV like soaps I've ever seen. As far as in the 80s, I mean. In the 80s, wow. To the point of waiting all weekend for the next episode. They knew how to do cliffhangers. I had another TV show that was good at cliffhangers. Another soap is Sons and Daughters. Now, this is probably not going to mention Sons and Daughters at any point for some reason. It's an Australian soap. It was on probably on about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, daytime, like, weekdays. And I used to watch it in 86 and 87. And I loved it. It was on every day. We were probably years behind Australia. So good. So good. So, comedy, light entertainment, key UK continuing shows. So, Only Fools and Horses, The Two Ronnies, Ever Decreasing Circles. I liked Ever Decreasing Circles. Only Fools and Horses I loved. I'll always love that show. It'll always be my favouriteest shows ever. Yes, Prime Minister. Spin-off begins. Okay, I never really watched that when it was on the first time round. The Young Ones, yeah. It's just repeats from before though, but I used to watch them. Hello, Hello, I'd watch it, but I wasn't, as I said. Spitting Image. I like Spitting Image. Definitely in the 80s, that was when it was at its peak, I would say. It's when I liked it the most, personally. And it was really big, really popular. And because it was making fun of the politicians mainly, and they were getting away with it. And it was rude. It was funny. Russ Abbott's Madhouse. I always liked Russ Abbott. So basically, Russ Abbott was... He was like, what's his name? He was the sidekick of... Oh, I forgot his name now. I forget his name. He was a really great comedian. But he used to be on his show, and then he kind of moved away from television, and Russ Abbott took over, and he had his own. Live will end... Right. Apparently my live session will end in 5 minutes if I don't get someone actually Join. If you are on TikTok, maybe at least join me. If you want. If you wanna. If you wanna. I'm getting a little bit more comfortable being on camera. It's difficult because I don't, because I haven't really done much in the way of being on video for such a long time. Really. I mean, I've been focusing on the audio, and I kind of feel a little bit more calm, peaceful with it, not so bothered by it. I think what it is because making a video of myself, which the camera's over there, is the thing I didn't like. But didn't like, but I was kind of concerned with, what do I look like? How's it going to come out? But then having a bigger screen in my face, which is TikTok Live, the TikTok Live is much more intrusive than making a video, which I can edit and delete if I want to. I don't have to upload it. It makes the video in it a lot easier. If that makes any sense, just makes it's not so not such a big deal, really. So the Benny Hill show, still active at that point. I don't know when the Benny Hill show stopped, but it was in maybe early 90s, I think. Crossroads, it's still going. It was still airing, but it was kind of on its way out. I mean, I used to watch Crossroads when I was 6 years old. When I was in a children's home, I used to watch Crossroads and then go to bed. So it was on about probably 6:30, maybe 5:30, 6, and we'd all get our chairs and stick them around the telly. The nuns would be at the front, and you couldn't shout, "Can you take your hat off, please?" Because you get in trouble. But they loved Crossroads. But it was the only time we ever had the television on, together to watch TV. But on a Saturday afternoon or Saturday afternoon, we could have the TV on, and I watched TV with one of the care workers because they used to have. I only remember two of the carers. I didn't know they were carers really at the time, but they were wearing normal clothes. I think they used to help with getting us in the bath and stuff sometimes, but there was this lady that I talked about it before. We were watching Planet of the Apes, and she started tickling me, and it's one of my happiest memories of childhood. I could not stop laughing, and I probably just loved her. I adored that woman. And I say woman, she might have only been. She's volunteering. She might have been a volunteer. She might have just been a kid herself. But I was like 6 years old, but I just loved it. Absolutely loved that memory, and it was a Planet of the Apes where they was on horses. But I lost interest in the movie when she started tickling me. So yeah, that was very cool. I like that. But it is one of my fondest memories, because especially in that place, there's not many in that place, and that's the only one actually, I think. That's not completely there. I did have a memory where we went to, because we was in a children's home, we used to get tickets to go to the theatre, because it was in Southend, and Southend has got back then it was a big place to go on holiday for people in the UK, like the same as Brighton, Clacton, Yarmouth, Lowestoft, all these places were very, very busy in the summer. They still are, but it was like big. And Blackpool is another one. I was trying to think, that's Blackpool's possibly the biggest one of all. So Southend had the longest pier in Europe, if not the world, but definitely in Europe at the time. And so there was a big theatre on there, and we would go along. And I remember watching a couple of shows. I think Swan Lake was one. I think I might have seen... I think I saw Jack and the Beanstalk, but it might have been a pantomime. I'm not sure. All I know is I fell in love with Jack. And Jack was a girl. I found that out later. But I just fell in love. I actually knew it was a girl, but I fell in love with Jack. And she was, I don't know, she was probably quite young anyway, but I was like 5 or 6. And I was in love with her. I really loved her. But I didn't know how to let her know. What do? You're 6 years old and you want to declare your love to probably a 19, 20-year-old. It's hard. By the way, I said 6-year-old, not 60-year-old. In case you're thinking, I'm not 60, Stop it. Anyway, what else? But yeah, that was... I remember we used to be quite high up, which is how I would prefer it. If I was going to watch a show, I'd like to be... It's not that I want my own box. I do. But it's not that, it wasn't... I mean, we might have had a box because you possibly being kids and, orphan Annies as we were. Perhaps... I used to get called Annie. And perhaps... But we was high up. Mind you, I was so little, high up could have just been... Maybe it was just on a different level. No, no. It was... I want to go to a theatre. Who wants to take me to a theatre? Anyone? Anyone want to take me to a theatre? Take me to a show. Something like a Jack and the Beanstalk, or I'd like to go to see a pantomime. Yeah, a pantomime. I think I'd quite enjoy that. Yeah. He's really hassling today. He's proper grumpy. Him down there. Emmerdale Farm, that was still on, but they rebranded it to Emmerdale, and then it got good. I mean, personally, I thought it was absolutely atrocious before, but I think in the early 90s they revamped it, and it became as exciting as some of the other soaps. Brookside, yeah, that was still going. My favourite period in Brookside, I would say 1988 to the early 1988 to the early 90s. Then you had Juliet Bravo that I sometimes watched but wasn't too bothered about. Tenko, never bothered with it. The Gentle Touch, yeah. Again, it was just a bit too serious for me. Bergerac, I sometimes watched it, but wasn't really my thing. All Creatures Great and Small, I didn't really watch that either. Minder, it feels so good for you. Freddie Starr, that's who I was thinking of. So Freddie Starr had a show, I think it was just called the Freddie Starr Show, and Russ Abbott was his kind of like his sidekick. And then Freddie Starr stopped doing that show, and Russ Abbott got his own show, like a prime time TV show on a Saturday night. So yeah, that's who I was thinking of. As I said Minder, and I started singing it, I thought, I'm going to be able to remember who that is now, and I did. Even though it's got nothing to do with Minder. Isn't that weird? Howard's Way, yeah. I didn't really bother with that, as I said. Play for Today, I can't remember that. Children's TV. So we had Grey Chill. A lot of this is just the same stuff as last time I mentioned it. Grey Chill, I used to watch. Blue Peter, yeah. Postman Pat, nah, I wasn't that bothered about that. And I was 15. Well, 14/15, because I turned 15 end of August. Play School, yeah. No. Play Bus, Henry's Cat, Pigeon Street. I don't know what Henry's Cat is. Now, although I was 15, I did have a little brother who was 8 years younger than me. So I used to watch TV shows with him. And at that time, I do believe I used to look after him after school for an hour or two. So Danger Mouse, I used to watch. I used to love Danger Mouse, but that was on before anyway. But I always loved Danger Mouse, even now. Not the version they got now, but like the old version. Rainbow, let the whole world with a rainbow. Do 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 do. Oh, yeah, that's my impression of Danger Mouse. You got the Sooty Show. I watched the Sooty Show. I used to watch that from like a small child. So yeah, Fraggle Rock. I loved Fraggle Rock. Let the music play. Bang bang. Rolling for another day. Do 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 do. Dun dun. Down at Fraggle Rock. And just the old thing like, the trash heap has spoken. But I used to watch that. Fraggle Rock, yeah, big fan. But I made the excuse of watching that with my little brother. But I like watching it myself. Just like watching the Musker Hounds. One for all and all for one. Musker Hounds are always ready. One for all, one for all. Helping everybody. One for all and all for one. Yeah, so it's Fraggle Rock, the Muppet Babies. That's another one. Oh, I love the Muppet Babies, and it was not aimed at me. I don't mean me particularly. You know, I'm not. It's not that they didn't sort of say, "Hi, Jason, how are you?" No, I didn't see that coming out of television because probably I would have needed to go and get help. But my age group probably wasn't what Fraggle Rock and Danger Mouse and the Muppet Babies and Musker Hounds were aimed at. But I liked them. And Fraggle Rock used to be on a Saturday morning. So I used to watch Saturday morning TV, children's TV with my little brother. Pretty much. As soon as he was old enough, I used to sit and watch TV with him. On a Saturday morning. Until the age of 8. Well, him being the age of 8. And then we got Music and Culture, Top of the Pops, BBC One. Dominated by synth pop and charity singles. So that was Do They Know It's Christmas Time? Feed the World. That was that time, wasn't it? The whole... I mean, that was huge, wasn't it? It was 85, wasn't it? The whole Live Aid. I saw what was it? Live Aid. Yeah, wow. I remember watching that. I remember the only person, is a little bit of trivia, Who's the only person that performed in both countries, both America and England, for Live Aid? Anyone? Phil Collins. Phil Collins, he travelled over. He did, I don't know if he did England first or which one he did first, but then he travelled over and, yeah. I mean, technically, Elton John probably could have done it as well, couldn't he? I mean, technically, he could have just filled the whole plane with people from England that could have just gone. But, yeah, Phil Collins did it. I mean, it's a lot to do in one day, isn't it? I suppose. I wonder if it was. Yeah, I think it was him. Yeah, it was, definitely. Music and Culture, The Tube, Top of the Pops, Thursday night. Always watched it. Loved it. Loved it, loved it, loved it. I watched it all through the 90s, the 2000s. Until it stopped, I watched it. And what was good about it is it just kept me up to date with what was in the charts. Half an hour of my time and I could see what was in the charts, what was in the top 40. And every week you still see some of the same songs in, and it was a way of keeping track. Now I'm so out of touch. The old grey whistle test ended in 87, still active in 85. Why are they thinking about 87 now? Next week's 86. Blimey, it's only the beginning of December. The South Bank show, sometimes I used to watch that. It was kind of like interviews and stuff, I think. Rock School, don't remember that. News and Current Affairs, Newsnight, Panorama, 60 Minutes, ITV News at 10, Weekend World, Channel 4 News. Some of those are still going. ITV News, Channel 4 News. It's just news. I mean, now, news is on 24 hours a day. There's news channels that are on 24 hours a day, and BBC, lots of different ones. So, basically, I still do go onto the BBC News just to catch up what's going on. Just kind of once a day, just have a little look, see what's happening. Sports match of the day. I mean, it used to be a thing in the 80s, 90s, 2000s even. If there was like a major thing happening in the world, not like major, but something that was, you know, big news, then people would be crowding around the TV. I think BBC One was the news at 9 and ITV was the news at 10. If it was a major event, then it would just be on regardless. Some things just, they cancel programmes and put that stuff on. But that didn't happen very often during my lifetime that I know of. There's a few obvious times, which I don't even have to mention. You probably imagine you can think what they are, but it doesn't happen very often where and it still doesn't happen on all channels. Not all channels do it. Even some of the biggest things that have happened in the last 30 years have still at least one channel like carrying on putting cartoons and sitcoms and stuff on, because we don't need every channel to do it. Really, do we? One channel's enough, I would say. Don't take away all our programmes. Newsnight, Panorama, 60. Okay, I've done that. Match of the day, sports, grandstand, snooker, blah, blah. Wimbledon, FA Cup, cricket, World of Sport, ended as well. None of that stuff I really was interested. 85. I didn't really watch the football anymore because I didn't have to, in a sense of, not that I had to, but it was on. you know, I had to watch what was on because I didn't have to, but, you know, I did. Anyway, and by 85, it was only me and my little brother left in the house and the parents. So it was different. Things were a lot different by then. Yeah, a lot different. Major imports shown in the UK in 1985. American dramas. The A-Team. Knight Rider. The A-Team, it says here, insanely popular. It really was. And these are all ITV. Yeah, ITV shows. So Knight Rider, A-Team, Chips, The Fall Guy, all shows that would be on a Saturday evening, but early, you know, like 6, 7, 8, like, and when their season finished, then another one would go on, like The Fall Guy would replace Magnum or whatever. Knight Rider, wow. And then you got stuff, so Chips, I love Chips. The A-Team, I would say out of all of them, the A-Team and Knight Rider was probably the most popular out of the lot of them. I think The Fall Guy actually used to be on a Friday night. I don't know why. I got a feeling it was on a Friday night. Should we check that just to see whether or not? Because that would be really weird if I've remembered that correctly. What day was on? Let's have a look. Searching in the web. No, this is going... No, UK. The UK. The Fall Guy... Oh, 1982. Okay, so it was still on. I'm pretty sure... Okay, that's no good. I'm pretty sure it was very popular when it first came out, and then it kind of waned a bit, and it started being on, like, Friday nights. I might have it wrong, though. Magnum P.I. I think that might have been on a Saturday night. A Sunday night, rather. Chips, Saturday night. Miami Vice, that was midweek. What a cool show. Guaranteed, next week when I do 1986, Miami Vice will be like super popular. Because it was the coolest show on TV, I think both sides of the Atlantic. They were dressed like, it was just I mean, of course they were wearing clothes, but it was so stylish. It was more about style, more style than substance, I'd imagine, perhaps is the correct way to say it. Such a great show. I loved it. I did. I wanted to be... It wasn't even a case... I didn't want to be any one of them particular. Any either. I just wanted to be a Miami Vice, whoever. Because they were just both so cool. Dynasty... Falcon Crest. I remember Falcon Crest. Wow. Hill Street Blues. I didn't get to really appreciate Hill Street Blues because it was on too late. Because I was young, I didn't really get to... I did get to see it, but it was like later on. And what was the ER? No, not ER. There was another one, wasn't there? Like a hospital program as well, which was, I think, connected to Hill Street Blues in the 80s. And Again, gritty but good, but on too late, so I didn't get to really see them. Sort of like playbacks in the 90s. Comedy imports, The Golden Girls, began 85, really? Well, they must have just been showing... Oh, it began in 85. So I watched The Golden Girls right from the beginning. Loved The Golden Girls. Cheers. Yep. Love Cheers. But I started watching that when I got my TV. So maybe that was 85. I thought maybe it was 84, but maybe it was 85. MASH, BBC Two, The Cosby Show. Oh man, I grew up watching... Well, I didn't grow up, but... I watched The Cosby Show. I mean, I just suddenly, like, get bigger as I watched it. But I watched... Yeah, all the way through the 80s, I remember The Cosby Show being on and seeing little Rudy grow up, and then they replaced her with another little one. They tried to replace her with another little one, because Rudy was the funny one, the funny kid out of all of them. And it was, yeah, it was... I loved it. I loved that show. Used to be on a Sunday night in the UK. Children's imports. He-Man, Masters of the Universe. Oh, yes. I have the power. Yes. I will not be denied. I don't think he said that. By the power of Grayskull, I have the power. Never watched the movie. But I think I had the figures. Actually, my little brother had the figures of He-Man, and I played with them. I like looking at them because they're all muscular, and I wanted... It wasn't that I liked looking at the muscles, it's just I wanted to be like that. I don't mean I wanted to be a little plastic toy. I wanted to have that physique, that kind of, you know... Yeah. Inspector Gadget. I liked Inspector Gadget. The Smurfs. Don't really remember the Smurfs, really. I know who they are, but I don't really remember watching them on TV. Transformers. Robots in Disguise. I like Transformers. I think the cartoon I liked. Movies. Voltron. Don't know what that is. Oh, okay. So there's a few little bits, talking points. EastEnders launched is arguably the biggest event in the 80s UK TV. It was, Den and Angie, Lofty, Michelle, divorce papers on Christmas Day, all that kind of stuff. Like, wow. Angie was pretending to be ill. Lofty was dating Michelle. Michelle gets pregnant by Den. It's a big old... Lofty was working for Den. It was a mess, but it was intriguing. Children's TV peaks. Super Gran. I don't really remember watching Super Gran. Super Ted. What's Super Ted? Spitting Image. That's it, really. It's not a lot else really on there. That's the thing, because the years kind of interconnect with each other, don't they? So 1984 and 1985 are kind of similar. Yes. So that is, I do believe, pretty much the end of this here recording. So, as I said, I've broadcast live on TikTok, and I don't think I've had more. I had 3 people in one time, which is I got a bit excited. I don't mean not erotically, but I got excited. Not excited. I got like intrigue. Like, 3 people. But once I release the video, I might get more people watching the video on YouTube, and the podcast, of course. I got my podcast audience. So for those that have watched on, or do watch on YouTube, or watched live on TikTok, I'm not bragging, but I have at least 15 people listen to me every month. So I'm a bit of a star. So I'm going to go. If you've got any questions, this is a good time. So I'm going to end the podcast. Thank you for listening. Remember to be kind to yourself, because you do deserve to be happy. And be gentle with yourself. You deserve to feel safe. And tomorrow I will release Q&A Friday. I will also record Q&A Friday. Yeah. Everything's a day behind this week. Take care. Lots of love. Bye.